Trump calls into Hannity. Let's see. Now, every time they pause this, it goes to this broader screen because they're trying to sell all these other aspects. These are and just so you know, the main stories on Fox. Biden addresses dismal jobs report, leaves without taking questions. He actually addresses his Build Back Better plan. Bartiromo, poor jobs report indicates Americans are not ready to work. Yes, we're lazy, you know. Florida mom calls for mass exodus from public school system. Gee, what a surprise. Caught on cam, officers narrowly escape crash on side of highway. Look out, boom. That's very scary. Look at that. Just crash. People do not know how to drive in the rain. Quit. I don't want to watch that. You can't just pick me on that stuff because it's lingering, stupid. There we go. Okay, so let's see this whole thing. Is the audio off on this thing until the ad comes, I guess? Hold on. Let me see if I can. I'll just blow it up this way. Sneak around. All right, here we go.
Joining us live on the phone for an exclusive interview, the 45th president.
Excuse me, an exclusive into you. That's what it feels like.
Of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, you did urge the United States senators today not to do what they promised for 2 months they wouldn't do, but yet they threw a lifeline to Chuck Schumer. And by the way, Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, yep, they're mocking Mitch McConnell. They're making fun of the Republicans, and they're laughing at him because he just threw them a lifeline that they didn't have to throw them.
By the way, I don't know that Trump knows what the fuck Sean Hannity is talking about. What he's talking about is the 11 senators voted to end the filibuster so that the Democrats could raise the debt ceiling on their own, thinking that somehow they're going to use this as they're going to weaponize it in the next 2 election cycles, that Democrats just spend and spend like drunken sailors and they raise the debt ceiling and we weren't a part of that, when nobody thinks of it that way. Fucking nobody.
The Republican Senate needs new leadership. I've been saying it for a long time. Mitch is not the guy.
Well, in all fairness, they do have due leadership. They've got twice that. Leadership.
He's not doing the job. He gave them a lifeline.
Well, in his defense, he does have the job, which you don't right now.
More than a lifeline. He gave them so much time now to figure out what to do because they were in a real big bind. They wouldn't have been able to do anything. He had the weapon and he was unable to use it, and it's a shame.
Well, the weapon was pointed at every business person and every household in America and not at the Democrats. So he would have had to, the weapon he had was aimed at the citizenry, not his political opponents. Not that you give a fuck because it's the same thing.
It's a shame. These 11 people, I know them, some are wonderful and some I don't agree with too often. I'm not surprised to see some of the names, but I will tell you this, that was not a good thing that happened today. He made a big mistake.
Let me start. There's a lot going on in the country. And
since when?
When you start with abandoning Americans in Afghanistan, and I want to get into all of these issues in detail.
Yeah, in detail. Please, details. How many people did we abandon in Afghanistan, besides the people who were involved in the poppy trade and want to stay?
And then you look at the crisis at the border. You look at Joe Biden gave up the energy independence that you achieved for the first time in 75 years, and now he's begging OPEC.
What's he begging OPEC to do? What is he begging? Are we begging OPEC for oil? No. They're tightening the amount that's on the market so that the people, our companies, Exxon and the like, can make more money selling it to Europe than they can to sell it to us. You could make more money selling your oil right now to the UK than the United States because we won't pay that much for it. So they know that. So if OPEC creates more oil and releases more oil in the market, it steadies and lowers the cost. There's an oil crunch all over the globe. Other powers are asking OPEC to do the same fucking thing, but that's no good if you're just trying to shit on the president.
You look at inflation, you look at the cost of energy, you look at America's standing in the world, you look at the saber rattling on China. We got a lot of ground to cover.
Saber rattling on China? Oh, you mean the AUKUS agreement?
The first thing, though, that I really think needs to be discussed is it's what, now day 54?
Of you wearing the same orange foundation makeup that Trump wears? Has he noticed?
Abandoned behind enemy lines. It's been almost 40 days since Joe has even mentioned them. We have thousands of green card holders. We have unknown hundreds of Americans and their families abandoned.
So if they're unknown, how do you know that they're there? I mean, it's a decent question. If they're unknown, if it's an unknown number, then how do you know it's a number at all?
He wouldn't do it 13 days before he abandoned them. Then we have Afghan allies we abandoned. And then we have military equipment in the billions of dollars that we...
Yeah, don't ask Trump about the Afghans we left there, because he didn't want any of them coming here. So,
the hands of terrorists. I never thought, Mr. President, in my lifetime that I'd ever see that happen.
Well, you're not seeing it now, so congratulations.
What, is there anything we can do now?
Well, look, we have to get our country back. It's what happened in Afghanistan, in my opinion, Sean, is the single most embarrassing event.
And we're back to embarrassment, because embarrassment is the worst thing that can happen to a human, because Trump only cares about appearances, which, by the way, is why he gets along with Xi Jinping and Kim Jong-un so much, because it's all about appearances, big parades. As long as it looks good, it must be good.
To happen to our country, maybe in its history, the warriors that were killed.
I had a 1961, EK station wagon that was painted that color. The paint was called Egyptian tan. Oh, my God.
And I've spoken to the parents of many of them, and they're devastated. How did we take out the military before everything else? The military...
The last person to leave was a military person. We put in 6,000 more troops for the evacuation. What are you talking about?
We leave everybody else there. And remember this, $85 billion, the best military equipment. I bought it. I rebuilt the entire military.
No, you didn't. That's $85 billion over 20 years.
$85 billion, the best equipment, military equipment in the world, and now they're taking it apart. Russia, China, they've already got some. They're taking it apart.
Yeah, they're reverse engineering our prop planes.
Going to examine it, and they're going to build it themselves. They can never do what we have with the Black Hawk helicopters and all of the other things.
Yeah, I've got the helicopter right here. Yeah, I think, no, most of the bolts are missing. Yeah, they took the guns off, and I think someone shit in the tank. I don't know. The aim they must have, he must have been a fucking astronaut. I don't know.
Yeah,
the dude walking around with the cell phone on, basically bitching that they destroyed the plane.
They're taking it apart. They're going to examine it, and they're going to build it themselves. They can never do what we have with the Black Hawk.
I can't make one of these. Like, it's just a bunch of shit. This is terrible. One of the door won't even close. I'm not going up in this fucking thing.
Helicopters and all of the other things that we have. This is the most it looked like a total surrender, the most embarrassing moment. And then
How is it a total surrender, by the way? We weren't fighting a war. We were helping the Afghan military and the government stand up. We were not fighting a war. We were not fighting a war. There was no war to lose. We did what we came there to do over a decade ago. We didn't lose. We did not lose the Afghan war. We weren't in an Afghan war. The government there and that military was technically fighting with the Taliban. Now the Taliban is fighting with ISIS. They're protecting Buddhist sites from ISIS now. What the fuck?
Also at the border, and they see these pictures at the border of hundreds
of these gutted fucking planes. All right, look at this. Hold on. Look at the planes in this situation.
Thousands of people coming in every couple of weeks into our country. It's an embarrassing moment. And then you look also at the border, and they see these pictures.
The doors
at the
are
border
taken off.
Hundreds
There's no
of
guns.
Thousands of people coming in every couple of weeks into our country.
Oh, yeah, this is the part where he tells everybody we have open borders. So the former president is telling the world we have open borders. We don't. We do not have open borders. The border is not open. Nobody thinks the border is open. Oh, fuck off. Just watching them. Like, don't jump around. It's so weird. I'm not dangling my... Get out of here. Could be another ad for Vegas. Yeah, I've heard of that place. Golf, something golfy. There's a golf thing happening. The golf, and then the golf thing. Golf. We don't care. Thank you. Moving on. Next. Yeah, ads. Get it. Ad 101. Okay, get to it. I don't care. Sorry, this is aggravating because they didn't load this on their YouTube page. At least we could find, so we have to use their thing. Okay, pause. Let's go back to wherever it was. Yeah, about there.
You also, it was going to be a conditions-based withdrawal, only if conditions were
right. Only if conditions were secured, which is, what was one of the conditions? No more Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan ever. So how do you guarantee that condition is being met before you get out? You can't, so you stay forever. That's what this is. This is the stupidest fucking thing.
You would keep in perpetuity Bagram Air Base, which we paid for and built. Can you explain
why? We don't want to be there. It's 6 buildings and a fucking runway. It's not a space station on the moon.
To me, when Joe Biden had the month of March, April, May, June, and July, when he had full control of Kabul, including the perimeter around Karzai International Airport, when the Taliban was south, way south of Kabul, why didn't he evacuate? If he wasn't going to obliterate them and push them back, why didn't he move everybody out when he had full control of Kabul and the airport and the perimeter? Why would he wait until the Taliban took over Kabul?
Well, because we were still expecting the government and the military to stand up, and if we were just headed for the doors, it would make it even harder for them to stand up in those places because it would be obvious to everyone that we were headed for the exits for real this time, and we had to process all the people from the SIV program that Trump and Stephen Miller stiff-armed and kept from getting out of the country. So we had to do all that work too, and everybody knew it, and everybody talked about it. Will we even have time to get all the SIV people and their families out? The answer is no, by the way. That's directly why we lost soldiers. That's why we had to jam up at the airport, because Trump had work to do and he never did a stitch of it.
Nobody understands it, and the media's not covering it. It's already become like not only fake news, but old news. They're trying to get rid.
Nobody's complaining about the thing that only I'm complaining about, because if they complain about it, they have to point out the fact that I fucked the whole process for 4 years.
You don't see them talking about that now. I read an article 2 days ago where they're selling.
Had it read to him.
Guns. They have 600,000 guns of different types, the most sophisticated weapons in the world. And they're selling these machine guns and guns on the black market. Other countries are buying them.
Yeah, well, they don't have a chain of gun stores there, so everything's the black market there. What black market? Back to Pakistan? They're the Afghan military's guns. They dropped them and didn't use them. They don't have, like biometric sights on them. They're fucking machine guns.
Selling them. They don't need that many. You don't need that many. 600.
Nah, you don't need that many. You already got most of the country anyways. Jesus Christ.
To 700,000 guns. They have night goggles that are better than anything we have.
The fucking night goggles. Go on Alibaba. They're $1,200 a pair. Let's see. Can we buy them? They're $1,200 a pair. They're $800 a pair if we buy 1,000 of them. That's cool. We're going to get money. I don't know. The poppy trade. I don't know. I'd much rather have 6 or 7 of us killed just to get the old ones that the military left behind that have the lenses cracked.
Model. Brand new, out of the box, never used.
Out of the box. Did they have an unboxing on YouTube? I haven't watched the Taliban's unboxing videos yet. Have you? Did they do makeup tutorials too? Fuck off.
For the latest model. All stuff that, they never like to...
Fucking holy shit. Look at that. Wait a second. Wait. Look at the doors on this helicopter.
Model. Brand new, out of the box, never used before, the latest...
Wait. Shit, it gets all great. God damn it. I gotta wait until this comes out and look at these pictures. The doors are busted. They're backwards. Maybe they open all that way on purpose, but it sure as shit doesn't look like it. They look broken.
Model.
Look at the front end of the helicopter.
Very good fighters,
look at the
window.
window.
Never liked the Taliban fighting at night.
Look at the engine.
Now they can fight at night. They can do what they want to do.
They can fight at night. Fucker, they've been fighting. Jesus. These are the best helicopters I've ever seen that no one knows how to fly and are probably missing parts that will make them explode in the sky. Shit.
They have the Apache
Hey, look at this. Brand new windshield.
helicopters. They have
So good.
the best equipment in the world.
Yeah, they're not flying them.
$5 billion. That wasn't the deal. And they understood. I spoke to
You know, if those helicopters worked, we would be able to fly them.
Abdul, and Abdul understood. We're leaving, and we're taking our equipment, and we're taking our American citizens. If they wanted to stay, they had the right to stay, but
They did, and a bunch of them did stay. But according to Hannity, they're trapped behind enemy lines because they don't want to leave their part in the poppy trade.
And we were taking them. And the last
look at these planes. They're wrecked. Look at this shit.
When everything's
Again,
gone,
if you're gonna use
the last out would have been our military.
If you're gonna use the footage, look at that piece of shit.
Stay, but they don't want to stay. And we
There's
were taking
pieces
them,
of them laying on the tarmac.
Would have been,
the
when
door's
everything's
bent.
gone. The last out would have been our
rotors
military.
are bent.
The
pieces.
big mistake to take our military out
That's
first.
a thermite grenade, by the way, or a
saying,
smoke grenade.
Abdul, he is the leader, and now if you look, he's the leader still.
And we left water behind. So much water. Oh shit! No, do not. Don't play that.
I could just see them saying, Abdul, the American military has left, and him saying, there's no way, you've got to be crazy. And they go, no, they've left, and going in, and then they go to Kabul, and
The fucking windows are busted on this thing. Like, the doors are pulled off. We forgot to take the sand, exactly. Abdul, like, this is the little story. This is a Sir story from Abdul. Look at these fucking helicopters.
And him saying, there's no way, you've got to be
back. The engine panel on the back is open. Oh god, they just stripped the shit out of these things.
And they go, no, they've left, and going in, and then they go to Kabul, and they'll find out that
gun just ripped off the front end, just literally pulled out of the front.
They left. These guys could not believe that they left, but that's what happened.
Let me move to the border, Mr. President.
Yeah, where you can make an equal amount of 0 cents.
When you first ran, it became a big issue. You implemented what's known as the Stay in Mexico policy. That's been abolished.
It was reinstated by a judge, and it's still kind of in place right now, actually. And most people are being directly returned or expelled because COVID rules from the CDC still apply. Hasn't been abolished. He wants you to think it's been abolished because if you know it hasn't been abolished and that you know that the border is closed and that we still have the CDC rules in place, then you'll have to admit that most of the people that try to cross the border illegally are immediately expelled or flown back to their home country. But if you believe that, then you can't be as mad about Joe Biden about some random idea that millions of people are crossing the border every month, and they aren't.
About 500 miles, a new wall. We had the lowest rate of illegal immigrants coming into this country in
thanks, COVID.
40 years. You eliminated the catch and release program. The wall building has stopped. The Stay in Mexico program has ended, and it's no longer catch and release. It's process and release, and then hand them people a request form. We request that you may show up in court. You don't have to. We're not mandating, but we request it. I doubt.
But if you don't show up, you won't get your asylum claim met, and then if you're found again without having met that, then you'll be expelled from the country. This is fucking stupid.
We'll honor that request. We now have.
We'll honor that request. Yeah, that's how it's actually happening. That's how they say it too. Except they say it in Spanish or Nahuatl or something.
Path to have a record number of illegal immigrants, probably a 30-year high. We're closing in on 2 million illegal immigrants in the country. There's no vaccine mandates.
Are we closing in on it? Are we closing in on it? You mean that are being expelled? Because here's the thing: the U.S. can't control how many people sneak across the border. I mean, they can't physically stop them. They can just either catch them and repel them, expel them into the other country, or they can process them. If they have an asylum claim, they can say you have a legit claim, or you can go back to your country and we'll think about it while you're there. There's a bunch of different outlets. But according to Trump and Hannity, both of them want you to think that the 2 million people that cross, like every year that cross, are immediately accepted in and given voter registration cards for the Democratic Party.
Are for American citizens. There's no COVID checks. There's a high rate of COVID positivity. There's
Well, then
no.
how do you know? How do you know there's a bunch of COVID positivity if there's no fucking COVID checks? I mean, there are some hard questions and there's some easy ones. How do you know there's a high rate of COVID positivity if there are no COVID checks? They've been saying this like 60% of these people come across and they've got COVID. It's a given, right? They're just dirty people. Is that the idea? Humans are not illegal. No, but you can break the law crossing a border. Like illegal immigration it's not an offensive thing. Like just get over that part of it. Honest to God, nobody thinks of it in any other country that way. If you're in another country illegally, they just kick you out. You're not like that doesn't win an argument, and it doesn't support genuine migration or people seeking asylum claims. Yeah. Like that, I mean, that dog won't hunt. It just never flies, and it's not necessary. It seems weird. It doesn't actually further the necessity of, say, card check for migrant workers who are going to come across and go home and come across and go home like we want, and for farm workers, for example, or people seeking asylum. Of course, there are people who cross the border illegally in the same way that there are Americans who sneak into Mexico to, I don't know, avoid being found after they murder their girlfriend that they were touring across the country in a caravan with doing YouTube while their parents tell everybody they're hiking in a fucking swamp. They're in Mexico or Chile or wherever illegally. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the act, not the person. Illegal immigrants are illegally immigrating. It's like this is such it like that's a hang up. And what it does is it creates this automatic wall with people you're talking to. It just doesn't, I'm telling you, it doesn't make any difference.
Security of background checks if people have radical associations. It's all unfolding before our eye. You see the mess at the border.
We only have one eye. That's interesting. I didn't realize. I thought it would unfold before our eyes. But apparently we have one collective eye. Apparently Hannity is part of the Stygian witches.
Overcrowded cages. You had it under complete control. And now we see the Democrats are trying to slip in amnesty in this reconciliation bill.
Hold on. Slip in amnesty in, let's see. Is there, we should probably look this up, I would think. Amnesty in the reconciliation. Amnesty in, reconciliation bill. Now, I don't know if what they mean by reconciliation bill. Maybe they're talking about the Reagan era amnesty rules, and it's just kind of re-upping them. I don't know. But technically speaking, there is no way under the parliamentarian that you would be able to put amnesty in to the reconciliation bill because it has nothing to do with the budget. Wouldn't work. Senate Parliament, yeah. So, let's see. Yeah, it won't go through. On Sunday, Delta significantly below Democrats' hopes, including a pathway to citizenship for millions of illegal immigrants, ruling that they can include it in their $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill. Democrats are seeking to pass the massive spending bill via budget reconciliation process, which allows them to avoid a Senate filibuster. Yeah, there are no votes for that. You can't put it in there. It's not. You cannot put immigration reform in the reconciliation bill. You can't. Doesn't relate. So,
I at this point, I've got to believe that this is done on purpose. They're not enforcing the law.
Del Rio, Texas, September 21st. Because if you show it now, there's nobody there.
Enforce the law, they'd want to impeach you. It seems like they're aiding and abetting in law breaking. What are your thoughts on the border?
Well, I think you're right about that. And I will say that the border we had was the strongest probably ever. And all they had to
Thank you, COVID.
Leave it alone. They sued us, the Democrats, Congress, for 2.5 years. We won all the suits for 2.5 years, and then we were able to start the wall. It would have been finished in literally a period of weeks. And now we're paying $6 million a week for contractors not
So the
to
millions of immigrants that are steaming across the border, teeming, beg your pardon, there's probably steaming too, it's very hot down there, teeming across the border are coming in big white unmarked buses. I thought for sure it was going to be like a World War Z kind of a, like just humans upon humans, right? Just climbing on each other to like create an ant wall.
the wall. Now, the wall was almost complete, and it's one of the things that led to this great record. And one thing you didn't say, Sean, is drugs. Drugs were at the lowest point, drugs coming in.
I thought this was supposed to be a slat fence so that the people would throw drugs over and they wouldn't land on the Customs and Border Patrol people. Remember? It has to be see-through. That's what they said. So they can signal. So that when you're throwing drugs over, you're going to hit them because you don't want it to hit on the ground. You don't want a packet of fentanyl to open up like that, and then you're trying to scoop it up. You lick your fingers to kind of close the tape, and then suddenly you're tripping balls.
Fentanyl, which is a brutal drug. It was stopped. It was at a level that we hadn't seen in a long time, low level, and now it's coming in at levels that we've never seen. 3, 4,
high
5
level.
times.
You have to say the high level after the low level.
More than we ever had coming in. It's pouring into our country. There's something wrong. You
through the ports, asshole.
Believe you could even say this, but somebody doesn't love our country. When they allow this to happen to our country.
By the way, this is no longer there. September 19th. I love how they keep putting this footage up.
Of thousands.
That's how it looks. Can you see the fear mongering about Haitians that is happening right here? The choice of shots is stunning.
Pouring in every 2 weeks, hundreds of
That's
thousands.
probably a bag of fentanyl right there. Those people
coming from countries we don't even know from where they're coming, and they're emptying out many countries. I used to say the three: Guatemala. You could add Mexico, Honduras. You could add El Salvador. But I used to say 3 or 4 countries. I hear it's 50 countries. They're emptying.
Yeah, almost all the countries are emptying their prisons and sending them into Mexico to come across the American border, of course. And they're the most patient. We still have to come up with a nickname so I don't get shut down talking about this. I literally get censored if I say the R word and the M word. We'll just call them Bundys. You know what I'm saying? The Ted Bundys. When armies of Ted Bundys being released from countries all over the world, and they're the most patient Ted Bundys you've ever seen because they enter the southernmost tip of Mexico. They hold off on their Ted Bundying until they get to Del Rio, Texas. And then they can get inside the United States. And then they're just free and clear to Ted Bundy all they want.
Their prisons into the United States. Their jails, some of the toughest people on earth are being dumped into the United States because they don't want
are they using a water slide? How are they getting them in?
They don't want to take care of them for the next 40 years. So these people that are the roughest prisoners there are anywhere are being dumped into the United States for us to take care of them. What are they doing? They're destroying our country.
Well, that's now a big part of the spending bill. I guess this is
can you see a theme of Fox wanting to scare their viewers with just like these shallow focus shots of black people at the border? Oh, man, you can just feel the hair on the back of every Trump viewer's neck standing up like, oh, good Lord. Oh, my. Oh, look at that. Sure is a lot of brown people. Oh, my God. I haven't seen people that brown, in a long time. Not since Tammy Faye came back from the spray tan after that guy, lost consciousness while holding the nozzle. Oh.
Difference between America First policies and America Last policies.
Well, America First policies might include maybe, I don't know, showing current footage of the border. Right, Sean? I'm sorry. My bad. I thought you were a news program for just 1 second. My mistake.
When you were out and you were pushing to get the money and fighting to get the money, which you eventually found a way to build the 500 miles of wall that you built.
Yeah, you mean replace fencing with wall so that he could have, and then he didn't even paint the fucking thing. Do you think they would have painted it as they went along? No, we have to finish the whole wall, then we can paint it. And then we put icing on top and then candles. Do you know how to birthday at the border or not?
Talked about a big wall with a beautiful wall, you used to say.
Yeah, now we've seen it. Now we know better.
Big door in it. Now, I'm for legal immigration. All four of my grandparents came from Ireland. I think you know my family story. And
yeah, we all do. We all read Sean Hannity, A Braveheart Tale.
You know, they had no money in their pocket. They were broke, and my parents grew.
Well, many of them, they didn't even have pockets at that point. The king had sewn their pockets shut. It was very sad.
Very poor. So I'm pro immigration. Is it wrong to ask for a security check to make sure you don't have radical associations in the middle of a pandemic? Should we not give preferential treatment to people that don't respect our law? Should they at least have a COVID test, a health check? Is it wrong to say that if we're going to invite you into our country, we don't care where you come from, but you got to be able to provide for yourself and you won't be a financial burden on the American people?
Well, if somebody's seeking asylum, then no, because they left wherever they were going with fuck all. Now, eventually they might be able to, but they're literally escaping death for them and their children. I know, I do realize your son will be skinned alive by a South American opium gang, and your daughter will probably be sold many times over. And I know yourself, that's a pretty nasty head wound you have there. But unless you've got a job waiting for you in a country you're not allowed to talk to anyone with, I can't let you in. I just fucking hell.
That seems like pretty fair conditions. Would you support that?
Well, you have to support that, and for everybody else, they have to go through it. But if they just happen to walk in, they don't have to do any of the things that were supposed to be done. And
no, they do. That's why you make asylum claims. The people that are allowed to stay are whole families that have asylum claims, and they've got sponsorship. Either they've got family here, or they've got an NGO they've been in contact with who will provide them with a place to live and substance and perhaps a job while they wait for their asylum claim to be processed. That's why you need more lawyers and more judges put down there so they can process to see whose are real and whose are not. So the people who aren't, you can move them out so you have more room and more help for the people who do have legitimate ones. This is fucking be a goddamn adult.
You know, there's one other thing that nobody talks about.
Oh, boy.
So we have hundreds of thousands of people flowing in from Haiti. Haiti has...
No, we don't. We don't have hundreds of thousands of people. There were 18,000 in total. 6,000 were flown back directly. A bunch of them decided to stay, and about 11,000 had either family members or someone they could stay with. Hundreds of thousands. Listen to this motherfucker.
Tremendous AIDS problem.
Jesus.
AIDS is a step beyond. AIDS is a real bad problem. So
Thank you, Dr. Trump.
Hundreds of thousands of people are coming into our country. And if you look at the stats...
Look at that. That's AIDS they're wading in. That is just that they're up to their pockets in AIDS. It's just everywhere.
Look at the numbers.
Look at all the AIDS. It's all green. It's gross.
Take a look at what's happening in Haiti. A tremendous problem.
What do you mean? The president being assassinated, a hurricane, an earthquake? You mean that stuff?
Many of those people will probably have AIDS, and they're coming into our country, and we don't do anything about it. We let everybody come
in. Swimming in AIDS. Look at them. Just this is the Olympics of AIDS. Jesus Christ.
Sean, it's like a death wish.
Look, these people had AIDS and they just evaporated. Look at their clothes. Those were people a second ago. It was the AIDS rapture that just happened. Fucking hell. I remember the AIDS diet pill. That didn't last very long, did it? That was an unfortunate branding thing. All they had to do was rename it real quick. Hi, for obvious reasons, we're renaming our diet pill. Yeah. We're naming it Syphilips.
Death wish for our country.
That's it? It's a death... You just bailed on that shit? Hold on. They literally...
We are at a defining moment. of being human.
Whatever. They literally that interview. They just fucking bail on like. There's just AIDS. We're gonna go right to commercial shit. What is he talking about? That was the end of that interview. Insofar as I know, that's what they posted. Again, we always put up what they post. I'm not editing any of that shit. And the name of that, by the way, is Trump rips McConnell over debt ceiling extension. He made a big mistake. If I gotta say, if your big lead in is what's the main content of the thing, I don't know why they didn't just go Trump : quote AIDS everywhere AIDS. Jesus. Rips. Yeah, he rips McConnell. He made a big mistake. I know. How does he cut him to the quick? Oh, God. It should have been Trump blathers on with the same stupid talking points, knows nothing about the economy, and then goes on a weird tangent about AIDS. Film at 11. Jesus Christ. What a moron. Just, and AIDS is everywhere. AIDS. It was my own personal Vietnam. AIDS. Shit. Oh my God. And you've got AIDS and you've got AIDS. You've got AIDS, folks. They've got AIDS. Everywhere is AIDS. I don't know if you saw it, but I've been watching the news from 92 on a loop. Jesus. When will the MAGAs be embarrassed? I don't know. Jesus. And these folks have the worst kind of AIDS. It gives them the ability to swim all the way from Haiti to the United States. They swam across Mexico through the sand. It's like that gag from it's like the musical in Team America. Jesus Christ. Remember 3 years ago? Oh yeah. They got super duper Mighty Mouse AIDS. There's no shame when you're a patriot. I am a patriot. Oh my God. Congratulations, Bob. And by the way, Bob, and you know, because both my time on Queer as Folk and are dealing with that storyline, and of course helping with AIDS Project Los Angeles and Project Angel Food in Los Angeles back in the 90s, and sitting bedside with people who were passing at the time when everybody was afraid to go and all that, that's something that I take very seriously. But I refuse to give any of that seriousness about that issue to that dickhead. I'm not even going to pretend that was a serious conversation about AIDS. I will not. Because that would be offensive to me. Yeah, he said AIDS was his personal Vietnam. Yeah. Apparently, having bone spurs does not protect you from AIDS.